Hello, 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 and great Monday evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for joining another episode of Conversations with Chosen Pen. I am Dr. Anissa Short. I'm super excited and so delighted that you've chosen to be with us this evening. Be sure to like, share, and comment because we're growing our community. Yes, we
Yes.
want more in 2024. And you all, I guess you can see, she's back. Dr. Norma has taken off one of her hats and so she can transition and she decided to grace us with her presence. Dr. Norma, anything you want to say to your viewers, your friends and family out there?
Well, yes, I'm so happy to be here tonight. I'm happy whenever I'm here. But thank you for joining us. And I'm very, very excited about what we're doing this month. Of course, is literacy, which is one of my passions. So we will be looking and hearing from one of the ladies who does childhood literacy and works with children with her books. And I'm excited to hear about that and discuss that with the listening audience. And I will come back in a little bit and talk a little bit more about that.
Thank you, Dr. Norma. So, yeah, as Dr. Norma has already stated, our month of July and August is all about a summer reading series. We are very big on promoting and supporting authors, whether they've written children's books, maybe they've written a novel, could be fiction, nonfiction, self help. We want to help promote your business and promote your book, which is your business, right? So, in
Yes.
this month of July and in the month of August, we've dedicated our Mondays, our conversations with Chosen Pen to the summer reading series. If you are an author or you know someone, let them know. We would love to showcase them, share a little bit about their book or books, depending upon how many people we have on the podcast together. Our platform is viewed from, of course, social media via Facebook and Instagram, but we also have a YouTube page. And in addition to that, because of our media partners, our content is often shared internationally. So you have opportunity for international exposure. So don't forget, contact us. It's July and August, Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern. We are featuring authors and their books. And speaking of literacy and childhood literacy, on Saturday, August 3rd, we are partnered with the Brown Girl, Brown Boy Literacy Foundation in hosting a kids tour. It's a festival of sorts for kids, for children. We will be featuring authors and other kid friendly vendors. We want you to come out. Now, you've got to register. It's absolutely free for you to bring your children and grandchildren, but we do ask that you register so we'll know how many to prepare for. And if you are a children's book author, or maybe probably or have a business that caters, or let's just say that's kid friendly, that the children are your target market, we would love for you to be a vendor on site. It's not too late. Our opportunity window though will close, so you got to choose wisely and act fast because we are looking for children's book authors. We are looking for kid friendly vendors, but we don't have all month. Our cutoff is the 27th of July. That's that last Saturday in this month to get you in place. The event itself is August 3rd. It'll be from 12 to 4 right here at 1420 Hoke Loop Road in the city of Fayetteville, North Carolina. For more information, check out our Facebook page, Chosen Pen Publishing, or just reach out to us via the website, chosenpen.com, and we'll get more information to you. So, with that said, I'm going to take a drink of water. I need to. I am excited about our host, our guest, with our special guest, came to us by way of a collaborating partner, Miss Joyce Licorice. Oh, we love her to pieces. And so she says, I have someone that I really think will be great for your podcast. I said, well, just send them on over because we're about not just supporting the authors that we publish, but all authors because your content is important. So Dr. Asia King is with us this evening. Dr. King, thank you so much for choosing Conversations with Chosen Pen. How are you?
I'm well. How are you all doing?
Doing excellently. Tell everybody a little bit about who you are. Who are you, Dr. Asia King?
Well, outside of the doctor, I am just a Southern girl from Birmingham, Alabama, who currently lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Been here 11 years. I grew up in the South, and I come from a long line of educators. My great great grandmother, who I grew up with and lived to be 100, her and her husband got their master's degree back in the 1940s, and so she would always sit down with me and my sister and really like pound in our heads like education is the only thing you got. Education, get your lesson, get your lesson. And so, you know, I just went through, found a love and an interest for mental health in high school. In my 11th grade year, we had a co-op program where they said, hey, here's some people, some professions, pick a profession, you get out of school, you know, for a semester to follow this profession. I got linked up with this beautiful Black woman named Audrey Lampkin at Children's Hospital. She showed me what therapy was about, and I was sold since 11th grade. So since I was 17, I was interested in mental health. And I got my bachelor's from UAB in psychology, got my master's in community counseling. And then I was like, why stop there? And got my doctorate in counseling psychology and, you know, and trying to really finalize, you know, that top tier piece of wellness of the mind. Because growing up in the South, I mean, I was privileged, but I grew up with folks that weren't so privileged. And you just wonder, how do people come out the way they come out and think about the way that they think. And so I've been in the field for about 23 years now and love what I do and take it to another level to write children's books about, really at this point, meditation and mindfulness.
Oh wow!
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So now, is your concentration working with children, or you work with adults as well?
I work with adults as well. So I do a plethora of stuff. I founded a business in 2016 named Brave Defiance, and we focus on really educating people about what is mental health, because we always know about the extreme side of it, you know, extreme depression, schizophrenia. And what I'm really breaking down the barrier is that you are always managing the wellness of your thoughts and emotions from the time you wake up to the time you lay down.
That's good.
From the time the alarm goes off to getting your children off to school, to being in traffic, to dealing with like, it is ongoing on how to keep a stillness within yourself and really think about what you're thinking so you could show up as best as possible, right? And so I work a lot with adults, and the theme right now in my work is around loneliness, because out of all the years that I've been working, we have an epidemic around feeling connected. And so I work a lot with adults, but I also work in the schools up here teaching meditation to elementary and middle school kids.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Wow. Dr. Norma, anything you want to ask? I could tell you.
Well, you know, all of that's just absolutely wonderful. I mean, I work a lot. Well, I'm not a mental health person, but I'm a forgiveness person. And, you know, I say that forgiveness is the foundation of mental wellness. So listening to you and some of the things that we teach and show and try to help our people with is down that same avenue. But we're just trying to dig now into the children and get a part of their feelings. I have a platform of forgiveness for young men and forgiving their fathers, boys who have absent fathers, with trying to get them to get past that root of forgiveness and fill it with love and forget about, well, not necessarily forget about, know that you can move on from that spot of brokenness into something else that you can be, that God has intended you to be. So that's the piece. What you're saying is definitely meditation, mindfulness, and, you know, all of that goes together with them. Yeah. So I'd love to have some more conversation with you about that.
Absolutely.
I mean, after hours conversation. That's
absolutely. Because in all of that, even in forgiveness, you know, how can you? Because not everybody is going to make amends or fix it, right?
Definitely.
And so, how can you be okay with self even when it can't be corrected?
Right. That's the whole issue, because a lot of these boys have no idea who their father is. The father may have been in the home and may be absent from the home just through not showing up. But some of them don't have a clue as to who their father is. And that's because either their mother may not have shared it, or she didn't want to share it, or the father didn't want it to be shared. But you still got to find a way to have them to overcome that. Because I feel all the research also shows that a lot of that stems, well, the hurt, the anger stems and the repercussions from that, of course, we have high illiteracy, we have higher jail rates, we have higher teenage pregnancy, we have all of that shows up from those boys and the girls too who don't have the fathers in their home. So that's the piece I try to work with is let's move from here. It's not your fault that they're not there.
That's
so
right.
Let's forgive them, move on to where you need to be and what you need to be. And we know it's not one of these negative places.
Right. So, Dr. King, is it safe to say that your books, your writings for children, the books that you've published that are geared to children stems from the work that you've done with children in your industry?
Yeah. Well, my first book, which is Finding My Cool, blinked out for a moment. Finding My Cool was based off of my experience with my younger son. So I have two boys. One's 18, the other one is 14. And so, you know, children are always learning, right? Everything is a first time. Everything is a first for them. And so when they get into schools, especially boys, and there's this demand already of sit down, be quiet, don't move, sit down, be quiet, don't move. And you get all these, you know, explosive behaviors or oppositional, whatever they try to define it as. And it's misdiagnosing because one, we weren't meant to sit all day like that.
Right.
And two, understanding the emotional network of a child is important before you try to put anything into place. And so with my son in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, he was just really experiencing a lot of struggles in school. I mean, I was getting a phone call every single day, and it just broke my heart because he was like, why can't I just be like normal kids? And I was like, you are normal. And there's nothing wrong with you. So I had to really make sure I protected his self-esteem and his sense of worth in the school system, because this is why a lot of kids don't participate in school, because their self-esteem around it is diminished before they even get started. And so we sat down and wrote a book together. So the little guy that's on the rock with the sword, that's my baby, you know, and you know, and it's around finding, you know, the conversation for parents with their children around helping them to navigate such big emotions in spaces where they don't understand, because children's emotions are vital to their development as adults. If you don't foster it, if you don't listen, if you're always shutting them down, then no, your kid isn't quiet because they want to be, is because they didn't have anywhere to put it. Or no, your kid isn't running away and having explosive moments because there was nowhere to put it. So Finding My Cool was based off of my younger son's experience of dealing with big emotions and what we could do around it, and just normalizing kids get mad too.
Right. Yeah, I know my sister is a licensed clinical social worker, and there was some changes going on in family dynamic with my oldest nephew. And she said, I had to take my mother's hat off and put on my social worker hat because I would have lost him. She said, so I began to work with him like I would a client, and I was giving them permission to have the feelings, but helping him to cope, to say, when you feel this way, rather than lash out that way, consider some other ways to express yourself. And I was thinking, I was like, okay, that's what's going on with a lot of the children. So they misbehave, and we're thinking they're just bad. And it's like, no, they're not able to voice.
There's no frame of reference for them.
Kind of way, right? No, there's no coping skills.
We have to teach children early on how to communicate, because when they become adults, whether they're fathers or mothers, and we sit here and we say, well, he doesn't talk, or she doesn't share anything, or they just don't communicate with me. Well, that starts out young. And you have to give children the language and permission to have the language, right? Down south, or really in communities, is a child needs to be seen and not heard. And that's the exact opposite. They have to be heard and seen.
That's a good point. So tell us about your other book. Let me show it. These books can be found on Amazon. If y'all wondering what kind of magical tricks I'm pulling up, is not The Art of Sitting. Is another book that you have. That's the one that Joyce told us about. This is the one here. Now, both of these books are available on Amazon.
I love it. I love it.
Yes. So The Art of Sitting is really taking my time back to the South. You know, growing up with my grandma who was sitting on the porch, we used to sit on the porch. I always sound older when I say this, but I mean, it's true. I didn't grow up with cell phones and computers. I didn't. We had house phones. There was three-way. I had to sneak the house phone.
Listen, right.
Friends.
With the long cord, if you were blessed,
the long cord. So pastime activities were either listening to the Word of God, or my grandma used to like baseball or wrestling. And if we weren't watching that, we were on the porch. And down south, pastime is being outside. You're going to sit on the porch. You're going to wave at people. You're going to say hi to your neighbors. You're going to check on your. With my grandma, we were checking on the roses in the garden, and
in the garden, watering the garden.
Like we sat. Yes. We sat. And in that sitting, it wasn't always about talking. It was about just experiencing and just being without correcting. And that was the most relaxing time of my life, where I could just really be present without having to change a thing.
I know. I love it. You know what? In your saying that, I too can relate to what you're talking about. I know with, I didn't live with my grandmother, but we visited and we were there all the time. And so being on the phone constantly was not the norm, not even watching television. But one of the things I thought about just recently when, during this time of the year, I planted a few things, but I have friends who have gardens, right? And they said, this is my therapeutic. I do this for therapy. This is so therapeutic for me. And I'm like, girl, we grew up having gardens. You mean to tell me?
It wasn't therapy either.
Right. I was like, oh, it's therapy now, huh? Okay. So going outside and working in the garden and harvesting whatever was in the garden. We had to do that type of thing. And that was a part of our day. But now my friends are saying, oh, I just love my garden because it's so therapeutic for me. And I'm like, girl, please. But I see what you're saying, though. It's the things that we took for granted that we looked at it once upon a time as either work or boring or just old fashioned, old timey. Those are the things that people are doing now. I was, what's the word? Grounding, walking outside without shoes on. I was like, girl, please, are you for real? They got a name for it. So that's what we were doing as children, is grounding. Is that what we're doing?
That's what they call it. I just call it taking a walk outside. I'm gonna go outside and just put my feet in this grass.
Right.
But but when you are able to sit with yourself, it actually helps to overcome that feeling of loneliness. Because we're always trying to preoccupy our space. We're always trying to fill our space with some noise. And, there's actually a science behind why Netflix will show you the next episode and the next episode, because they don't want any space or any break for you to take a break, right?
That's right.
But growing up in the South, where you were either playing outside or you were just being, you were okay just being, without having to have the extra noise. And so it trains you to sit with yourself and have self-acceptance, and so I can go out and date myself and be by myself and
be okay with that.
And be okay
with happy with that.
Be happy with it, exactly, because that was taught to me when I was younger.
So, Dr. King, do you believe, based on your studies, based on the work that you've done, based on what you know scientifically and experientially, that we were healthier? We had a healthier mindset when things were slower and we had less distractions and less noise?
Oh, absolutely. 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 Like right now, social media is a necessary monster. We now need it to engage and communicate, but now it does this plugging away from our self-esteem, our
Mhm,
social comparison of each other. Uh,
mhm,
at worst, the the lies and propaganda that we're
mhm.
able to see. And so it
Mhm,
gives, and
mhm,
while we want people to expand their mind, so much information easily accessible and not necessarily regulated gets into the hands of wrong people, and teenagers are
Mhm,
struggling,
mhm.
adults are
mhm,
struggling.
Right.
We struggle with social media as adults. You go through long enough and you're watching all your peers get all these awards and stuff, you start to question your life. And
Exactly. Right. When you go, why not me? Why is it
why
going so
not
well
me?
for
Right,
them? Right.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's affecting the way we think about ourselves. It's affecting the way we think about each other. It's desensitizing because, back in the day when you didn't have all that, you just got word of what happened. But now you can filter through all sorts of videos where you can
mhm,
see violence
Yeah.
and
Constantly.
the
mhm.
way we treat each other, to where now it doesn't even phase you. You're
Right.
just like, this is normal, when it's not.
It's not. That's true.
It's
So
not.
let me ask this question because the books that you've written now, these two that we just referenced, are those the only two, or do you have others?
These are the only two.
Okay, gotcha. So, but I see why now, why the content of what you've written for those books, how it ties to your work, but also ties to your personal life, in an
Mhm.
essence, you could bring that flavor in to create the dynamic of what that book is about. What do you have in the works? I wonder.
I'm still thinking about it. I want to. I keep it back to childhood for me because I just really had a wonderful childhood, and I'm thinking the next book is going to be Angels Go Swinging. That is a call and response song and the hand clapping song. Angels Go
Um,
Swinging, and so we used to say it back in the day, and it was jazzy and it was fun, but it was an opportunity for us to engage as children together,
Right.
mhm,
and it was a showcase of talents
It
in our
was.
hand clapping exercise. And it takes us back to our the ways in which we were growing up before we were slaves, or however we got here,
mhm,
of our play. How did we play with each other? How did we interact and have fun with
mhm,
each other? And hand games were always a number one go-to.
mhm.
Call and response, and showing off who got the best, and did it, and
Yeah. Right.
that was fun.
Okay.
So that's what I'm thinking my next book is going to be
Oh,
about.
I love that. Yeah.
Dr. Norma, what questions do you have?
Oh, I have many, so then they're probably not appropriate for us to start this conversation right now because I'll have you on
Because
some of the
we'll
book.
go away from the book and we'll be talking about something totally different.
But I mean, I love the books and such needed books. So we need to try to get them into as many hands as possible.
Really, we really do. One of the things I mentioned to you casually at the onset, Dr. King, is that Chosen Pen Publishing is really big on literacy. Obviously, we're a publishing company,
Mhm.
but one of the things that has come about since at least 2022 is we went to South Africa. Dr. Norma was on a panel with the University of South Africa on mental wellness, and she spoke on the topic of forgiveness. But in the course of being there, we built so many great relationships and gained so many great contacts. To this day, now it's like we're an extended family. But one of the beautiful things that came about as a result of our travels there is the adoption of preschools. They were in need of libraries because one didn't have a library, the other one had suffered damage, and so we made a commitment to provide them with books. And so our very first visit after that was March of 2023, and we
Mhm.
took a little over 700 books to Africa with us, to the school.
Amazing.
And listen, we were so excited about just the fact that we had that many books. And Delta Airlines worked with us on getting them there. And it was about 8 of us, I think, and each of us had an
Mhm.
extra suitcase and it was full of books. And so one of the beautiful things that came about, Dr. King, and this would forever stay etched in my mind, is that the children were actually on their break when we came there in March, like their spring break. But because they had been told that the Americans were coming with books, some of the children who had been assisting the librarian asked, "Can we come on our break? Because we want to be here when they show up." And so the children, I don't know, Dr. Norman, was about maybe 20 of them.
It was a lot. The
It was quite
library
a
was
few of
full.
them. Yeah, and it was quite a few of them, and they were there in their uniform waiting on us to arrive.
Oh,
And one of the biggest things, we were very intentional of making sure that the books had children that looked like us in them. Representation matters.
Mhm.
And that was one of the first things one of the young girls said, "Oh my, they have people that look like us in them." So it was like mission accomplished, mission accomplished, so that's been a beautiful thing. And so we were planning to go back again. We haven't set the date, but we've collected well over 1,000 books to take back to us, take back with us again. So anytime we meet someone, we let them know about that. So if you want to partner with us, that would be fantastic. If you want to go with us when we go, you just let us know so we can get you into the list, because you too can travel with us to Africa and be a part of that. So Dr. Norman, you want to speak to that a little bit?
The literacy piece, well, it's a global piece at this point, because from Africa, we went to Paris and went to the first African-American bookstore and printing company in Paris. And I have some children's books as well. So my children's books are now in French, translated in French, and they are in that bookstore. My grandchildren's books. And they're also in Spanish. We sent them somewhere. I don't know where we sent them for that, but we just... But anyway, so that's some of the things that we do with them, because we want everyone. When we say global, we mean global.
Right.
Yeah.
We mean that the children, wherever they are, have an opportunity to take advantage of whatever it is that we're providing for them.
Right.
Of course, here, we come back home and say, our children in worse shape than all these other kids. They don't even appreciate anything. But that's on us. I keep telling people, that's on. If they don't appreciate it, that's on us, because we haven't presented it to them in a manner for them to appreciate it. So we're working on that as well.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. I mean, your work, I'm very, very excited about that, and how we can come together and get more children to see what you're doing. But not only that, but to have you on a summit with some other people who are doing similar things, or someone, so we can get a broader audience for that piece as well.
Yeah, that's when we had our mental health summit. It would have been great. We had a virtual mental health summit. It would have been great to have you on as one of our presenters or speakers. But nevertheless, you're connected with us now, so you can't get rid of us.
And are you done? Because this is Black Mental Health Month, African American Mental Health Month. So I don't know. You may be doing something. We're not doing anything this month, but I didn't know if you were.
Yeah, we actually have a health summit coming up this Thursday here in Minneapolis, and I will be doing a grounding exercise for the event, and we're going to be talking about mental health, drug and alcohol health, and violence, and how they all intersect here in the Twin Cities. So yeah, I mean, I'm always working ways to just make sure that I'm educating and advocating for wellness for everybody, but most importantly within our community, because as I was mentioning before, Minnesota is very cold and it's very gloomy.
Oh, we've heard.
Yeah, very gloomy and very cold, but being a Black psychologist up here, you're a unicorn. And so, you don't have a lot of people such as myself up here. There's a small group of us that are providing services to our Black, brown, and indigenous folk. And so I do recognize the importance of this work. And, I love what I do, even though sometimes it can be overwhelming, but I do love what I do. And I've carved out a space for myself in the mental health realm that feels good to me, but also helps others to find a way to actually practice wellness anywhere they go.
That's good. That's really good.
So you did that wellness in Kansas for the caregivers. That was and that's another big piece that people need too. But the wellness is really on focus right now.
It really is. The pandemic brought it. It was already important. It was already very much a necessity, but I believe the pandemic magnified things to a greater level. So thank you for your work, Dr. Asia King. I so appreciate Joyce making the connection. Absolutely. Tell us the names of the books again. You said they're both available on Amazon, and the names of the books once more, please.
The first book is Finding My Cool, and the other book is The Art of Sitting.
All right, you all heard it. Dr. Asia King, all the way from the Twin Cities. It has been a pleasure getting to know you. We would definitely get in touch with you because Dr. Norma,
Yes, soon.
I know soon.
Please
This
do.
is only the beginning, Dr. King. I
Yes.
trust and believe this is only beginning, only the beginning. We appreciate you carving out time, and as usual, to our listeners, thank you for choosing to be a part of this broadcast. Conversations with Chosen Pen. You know, every Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern, we are here, and next week is no different. We have another author lined up for our summer reading series. So July and August are the months, and don't forget, if you know someone who has written a children's book and or have children or grandchildren and they live within driving distance of Fayetteville, North Carolina, we would love for them to be a part of the event we're hosting on August 3rd. Check out our Facebook page, Chosen Pen Publishing, for more information. You can always contact us on our website, chosenpen.com. I think that's it for now. Thank you again for joining us. Don't forget, like, share, and comment. And we're looking for more in 2024. That means more friendly faces joining our podcast community. Thank you again for chiming in. Have a great evening.